Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and as promised, I am returning to you after doing a lot more Korthia, completing our meta quest, and as you can see, achieving one of our new Maw mounts, the Undying Dark Hound, I believe it's called. It's all stitched together. It's got a little snappy mount special. I'm not a mount man, so it might be borrowed from somewhere else, so bear that in mind, but it's kind of snappy. It's way too small. I feel really bad riding on this thing, but that tends to happen with orcs every now and again. It feels very tidgy tiny. I wanted to come back to you today, as promised, with some updates on what this is. I did mention in the title of the last one, this is Thunder Isle 2.0. That wasn't any clickbait or anything like that, but there's a lot of negativity surrounding Korthia with more people watching it, checking it out on streams, and learning more about what Korthia is. So let's get into that a little bit. As you can see, Korthia has mostly been fixed by switching to DirectX 11, which is allowing us to actually traverse Korthia in some way. Let's get into what is Korthia right now. I actually really heavily suspect that at this point, this is Blizzard getting this out as soon as humanly possible, because I would be lying. I've been testing this for like 10 years, as you know, World of Warcraft. This is the most bare bones zone I've ever seen added to the game, which is totally understandable from a viewer's perspective as to why they're not happy with what Korthia is representing. Because as a new zone, certain expectations come with that. We've had everything from the Sunwell Isle, Timeless Isle, the Thunder Isle, as previously mentioned, along with Legion Fall, all those kinds of things. And this is not that, at least not yet. So I have a couple of roads I could travel here when talking about this, and both of them would be true, which is kind of on Blizzard to fix. On the left-hand side, I could say this is a real piece of shit, and I'm really confused as to why they gave us this early. If this is it, and there's not much more to come. Yikes! We have taken a big backtrack in what we expect of a new zone. That would be one way to go. However, I'm leaning towards the other side, genuinely, which is the other side is they got this out very, very early because people were very upset as to how long 9.0 was taking. I am understanding of both positions here. One, Shadowlands was delayed. That definitely pushed back a lot of content creation for the rest of the expansion, right? Unquestionably, the developers were working to get Shadowlands out and working because it was not in a fit state to be released. And the other side is 9.0 is taking absolutely forever. Taliesin and Evertel have a wonderful video and a great tweet comparing how long we've been in 9.0. And therefore, Blizzard wanted to get something out to show off 9.1. Now, the big question we're going to probably talk about today, I have an update on assaults, which are better now, so that's good news. And the rewards, that's how I got this mount, was the new assault system. And also whether it's in Blizzard's best interest to do things like this if that is the case. So we have a number of clues. I went back and watched BlizzConline, and I also reread through the patch notes that they released for 9.1, which is why I'm leaning towards the other way, and I'm not like furious and angry at what we've got here. I've done these dailies every single day since they came out. I am beyond friendly now. One of the vendors I showed you was, of course, the mounts vendor that's over here, which sells things like the Soaring Razor Wing and the Amber Shardhide. But me being a complete moron and not paying attention, or close enough attention, did not see that down here in the archives, I did mention the archives, is that there's a little cave here. An NPC does run into here. This NPC has another vendor in it. And this vendor contains these three items. Now, what we have here is things that upgrade something called More Touched Armor. That's not in the game yet, which is why I'm thinking there's a hell of a lot more to come here. So the basic friendly will upgrade boots, gloves, belts, and braces. At honored, we will then get the upgrade for helms, shoulders, chests, and legs. And then at revered, it will upgrade your more touched weapons. Now, that's likely to have been reminiscent to some of you who played Mr. Pandaria to the Shar-touched stuff. The Shar-touched stuff is a good segue because one thing that has been data mined this week is that Blizzard has come up with a new system. I'm not memeing, it is a new system, but it looks like it's going to be a system similar to what we had in Uldia, where there was a zone-specific buff. I'm hoping that's the case. It's called Shards of Domination, and there will be certain armor types or weapons that drop in the new raid, which we've seen now being tested on the PTR. I did not take part in the first PTR testing. I was busy with my family, but I will be taking part in some others that have an extra gem slot in it. They're called cogwheels right now in the data mining. That name might change, where you can input these new Shards of Domination. Essentially, they're gems that will carry some sort of bonus. Now, the reaction to this has been mixed, because either these are things that work outside of the raid, in which case, obviously, the PvP community is going to be a bit pissed if there are special items, special powers, special power gains that may affect them in the PvP world that are only accessible via the raid. That is a legitimate concern. On the other hand is, did we need more systems? And some people praising it, so adding more loot variety. If you saw our previous 9.1 video, all on board for more loot variety that's going in there. I'd be really interested to see exactly what these things are. All we know so far is that they exist, and that is going to be happening. As for this more touched armor, the likely assumption is, and we have a lot of historical basis for this, is there will be some sort of armor collection that comes from the new Korthia Maw that is going to be your casual armor upgrade. This is going to be your world quest stuff that's going to be giving you a decent, but not super high level, armor sets for completing daily content in World of Warcraft, some more world content. It's like it's called More Touch, and as your reputation builds, you'll be able to upgrade it. Now, unfortunately, I do have the item it gives me here, because I do have friendly, but as you can see, it does not work. You actually get a message just behind here that you do not meet the requirements for that quest, likely because the armor doesn't exist yet, or this item simply does not work yet. One or the other, doesn't particularly matter. Either way, it's not functional just yet, but it's likely to be what it is. Assault. So last time I spoke to you about the assaults that they were really kind of poor. The assault I saw was literally me being airlifted by an NPC, doing a very simple TBC-style bombing run, and then fighting an NPC that was not particularly difficult, and that was my assault for what I thought was weekly. They're actually twice weekly. Actually, it popped up today, so if I can go out on the map here, you can actually see a message appeared above the Maw, which it was the Necrolord Assault. I'm going to play some footage in the background now to show this, because I've already done it. Where Draka leads the Maldraxi assault on Perdition Hold. So what the assaults are exactly the same as what you saw in Legion, which there is an event happening in the Maw with 4 quests associated to it. Very simple quests. Completing those 4 quests will have a little bit of an ending scenario to it that you then go and finish up. And that's going to reward you with a chest tying directly to the Covenant's assault. So there will be a Bastion Assault, which is the one I completed originally when the new content came out. This is the Maldraxi, and then, of course, there will be a Revendreth one and an Ardenweald one that will reward these war chests. Now, it looks like the mounts, as you can see, I have the reward that specifically comes from the Maldraxi mount. So if you're looking for mount collection, you'll have to wait for the particular assault to happen and then hopefully get the item out of that chest if you're interested in mount farming. I'm glad I'm not a mount collector. I can now finally fly over here, by the way, because this Korthia is not going to bug out on me this time thanks to the DirectX switch. So that's what the assaults are. They're a little bit more involved. They have a little bit more presence about them, which is something I was looking for. Are they as good as the Legion ones, where we got to fly like helicopters and things? Hard to say. The Bastion one was definitely a disappointment. The Maldraxi one is a little bit better, although the questing was still lackluster. That would be accurate for me to say. I'm not being mean or anything there. It was pretty lackluster. It was, kill the 8 things and move on. The same quest you would get at level 1, which has been my big point of contention, is that this is the kind of stuff that we started to move away from. While we've always had those quests that collect, as Total Biscuit would say, the collect 10 bear asses quests, well, those are expected to kind of fill it out, and I don't have a particular problem with them. I have a problem with it when it's the only style of questing, yeah? And we don't have anything that's adding a bit more variety, a bit more spice to it, and we know the game can do that because they've been doing that since the Sunwell Isle and the Burning Crusade, and some extras thrown in to make it more fun. So, finally I can show you the actual City of Secrets. Here it is. You can see that the Jailer's forces are attacking. As of right now, nothing is happening here. So I talked about the meta quest in our last video, which was something that would require several days of progressing to complete. I have completed it a couple of days ago. Nothing happened. I was pre-warned. I got to do it like an hour after the quest reset. Somebody else did them for me, messaged me saying, no, nothing happened. As told, this is all part of that negativity that's surrounding this place. There's a suspicion that there is nothing more to this. I'm on the opposite side. During the BlizzCon line, they did mention that there'd be a lot of secrets. And they also mentioned, interestingly enough, that the new Korthia zone was going to be very large. It is not what we have right now. I'm at the edge of it now. It would take me less than a minute or so to get to the other side. So it's way smaller than the actual Maw originally that came with it. So that's not the case. It's not large right now, which indicates there should be more. Also, some other clues are that there are definitely unfinished areas of here. Down in, you can see here, this stuff is not done yet for sure, which makes me believe that what we have here in Korthia right now, and understandably is causing some people to be a little hesitant. I saw my Twitter feed filling up, and I've seen other videos which are like, this is not enough to get me back into 9.1. I fully agree. If you were looking for good world content to immerse yourself into, I would not recommend World of Warcraft right now. The raid looks good. We haven't seen the new Mythic Plus affix yet, and we have not seen the latest rebuilt Torghast. That's still under construction as it stands right now. But in terms of world content for people who aren't raiders, or are certainly going to be done with their raiding very quickly, there's not a lot here just yet. But I'm not that concerned about it right now. If this is the same in the next few weeks, and Blizzard have tweeted out that the upcoming update to the PTR will have more of the Venari stuff and the Venari questline. One thing Blizzard have promised is that the Venari and Dreadlord quest lines are going to be a main part of this. Currently, I have done everything possible, including the Dreadlord stuff, up to where it will allow me to do it, and I'm waiting for more to see if that does something to this zone. So I'm talking about some negative aspects of it. So what are the negatives? Well, right now, what is Korthia? As it stands right now, and I hope this changes, Korthia is 4 daily quests that are a combination of 4 things. They're either fill the bar, sometimes you'll have 2 fill the bars at once. There'll be a bounty, which will be to kill a mob that's slightly more health than a normal mob. It's certainly not an elite or a group quest or anything like that. Pick up 10 things off the floor or kill 5 things. And it'll be any combination of those. Sometimes you'll have 1 fill the bar. Sometimes you'll have 2. Sometimes you'll have 2 kill 10 things. Sometimes you'll have 1. Sometimes you'll only have 1 pick up 5 things off the floor. Sometimes you'll have 2. But there's only 4 daily quests. Now, someone reached out after we did the PSA on the gold message that I put out previously, which still stands, but there's certainly a lot of guesswork going on there. So a couple of people reached out to talk about their different perspectives on what they think is happening with the gold system. The reality of it is we're not sure. I would still stand by the recommendation that you should prepare for the fact that the new legendary system might require a lot of gold in order to get this stuff crafted, but maybe not, but better safe than sorry is my message. The overall consensus, though, is that the data mining of the Soul Ash requirements for the new legendaries is not right, and something's going to happen there. It just hasn't happened yet. So I'm back at the base, by the way, so that's it. We've traversed the entire Korthia area. This place is lacking a lot of stuff that you would expect to see. So I'm saying that every day you come here with 4 dailies. Each of them takes roughly 2 minutes, which is a total of, in total, getting here, doing stuff, especially if there's no assault on, is about 15 minutes of getting here, getting done and leaving. If there's an assault on, add another maybe 10 minutes to it, and that happens every 3 days like you would expect with assaults. So they just cycle through, is what it looks like to be happening here. There is one rare. This is this fella here. Poor fella's been beat up a number of times, and he doesn't actually drop anything. This is the only rare that I have found. So you would expect this place, certainly based on the initial maw, to have a lot more rares. So this is, again, leading me down the other path that this is just a supremely early work in progress. I do have to ask the question, though, if that is the case, is what Blizzard hope to gain with this. Obviously, first impressions are so massive in World of Warcraft. Why would you release something that is clearly massively unfinished and super basic? Again, as somebody who's tested it, you might remember I was a little disappointed in Najatar's first opening when I got to go and see it. Because they missed out on a lot of RPG elements, which would have been really, really cool. And we were talking about the details of the minutiae of having the follower system, how we could engage with those better, the style of variations, and talking about the fact that they introduced all those mobile games. A whole list of features that were worthy of critique. The same as I've done with Legion Fall, the same as I've done with Mechagon, the same as I've done with Zones and Timeless Isles over the years. Yet, for some reason, they gave us this, and with 4 daily quests. And I'm really confused as to what the purpose was, because this can't reflect well on the community, and I'm seeing that everywhere, right? I'm not making this up. This isn't don't drink the Kool-Aid stuff. This is, I'm seeing a lot of people who are like, I've checked it out, and no way am I coming back for this, rather than waiting a little bit. It really makes me question the sort of sensibilities of trying to get content out just to get it checked. If they did have I would prefer it if Blizzard said something like, we're releasing Korthia in a super early state just to check out the geographical locations, because we've had some issues with bugs, which is what we saw in the last video where it was freezing all the time. Great. A bit of communication on that is fantastic. And I could easily sit here and say, this is what we have right now, and they're testing out this stuff, so we're looking forward to the next content. As it stands right now, we're kind of in the dark. I'm reading the breadcrumbs that Blizzard have left to say there is more, and hopefully it's not a case of, here's the armor system, but the general gameplay remains the same. On that note, there is something I do want to bring up, because it's a piece of feedback I see happening a lot, and it really misses the point, which is that Blizzard can't win. Let's talk about that for a moment, because the feedback we've given so far has been really misconstrued by some people who I think are generally quite bitter people, although I don't want to put everybody in one basket. But the message was, oh, Blizzard can't win. you guys asked for a system where you didn't have to grind and grind and grind. They released new daily content that you can do in 15 minutes, and you guys complain. Let's be clear on one thing. Absolutely nobody in the history of World of Warcraft is saying, can you make terrible content as long as it's quick and then I'm fine? Nobody's asking for terrible content ever. It's a really bizarre mental flip-flop people are having there, is that if you are going to put mandatory content in, it should be fun. And needless to say, when you put in questing that is... If you think about an orc starter area when you start a brand new orc, we actually do more things there than we do in Korthia. If we get to bash on peons and things. But other than that, this is the same quests that we would get at level 1. That's unacceptable, right? That's not what people are asking for, and that's not what people hope when they get a brand new zone. They hope for immersion, they hope for fun and interesting things to do. Nobody's saying, like, there's a world of difference between having mandatory content and then just saying, well, it can be bad then, if it's mandatory. No one's asking for that at all. It's a real strange thing I see from people. If there is going to be mandatory content, it should be fun, but what we would like is a lot more fun, optional, fun and interesting things to do in the game outside of the standard raiding, because the raiding looks like it's going to be fine from what we've seen so far, which is only 2 of the 10 bosses. Yet, this is, right now, this is awful. This is really, really bad, and we want better for that. It's not a case of we want terrible content just so we can get it done quickly. It's not like we're just asking for people to peel off plasters really quickly, and it's a small but quick pain. That's not what anybody's asking for ever. People are asking for good, fun content, and certainly if it's going to be mandatory, it should be pretty fun because you're expecting everybody to do it. And I really hope Torghast and its new revamped system, which now has seemingly an experience system as well as a score pointing system, has those elements because, of course, getting the Soul Ash is mandatory. So that should be a fun experience and hopefully considerably better than the first version of Torghast that we saw. So I'm really kind of distressed that people putting it in this nebulous form is, oh, well, you know, Blizzard makes new content and they make it super quick, and that's what you asked for, but you still complain. Nobody's asking for garbage content, ever. And ignoring that premise is really ridiculous in my eyes. So that's where we're at right now. I'm going to continue to do these dailies every single day so we can keep up with whenever the next update is. I will say right now the assaults are better for sure. It's not great by any means. It's still the very basic questing, but it does feel better that we're assaulting areas, and it does feel like the Covenants are fighting back against the Jailer. That is something it's okay. It's something that I wouldn't see myself doing it on every character or anything like that, but it's fine. It's very much exactly what we saw in Legion, if not slightly worse, because the questing is in the original Maw. The assaults do not take place in Korthia. They take place in like Perdition's Hold is where the current one is. As you can see here, Draka is leading the assault in Perdition's Hold. So you're going to go to a place you've already been to in a zone that many of you probably don't like, but you'll get to do a quick assault and you'll get some rewards out of it, chests, mounts, things like that. It would be nice if they were more interesting and we got to see more flavor of the Maldraxi, because they have some really cool elements, right? The Maldraxi have some very, very cool elements to their story. I would like to have seen that represented more to bring their own flavor to the zone, but we got some potions and things. So they are trying, but it's I do think Blizzard often worries about overcomplicating things to see if people get tricky, so we do deal with some Marileth potions a little bit, but they're very simple. Throw things down and it'll reduce their damage and health and things like that, rather than maybe turn them into giant blobs and things like that. You know all these things that we did during the leveling process in Maldraxxus that were really fun and kind of cool, right? With some slime monsters. Maybe we could build a slime monster or something like that, or work on the fact that if you are a Necrolord, that you have all these extra stitches that you can use, these stitchwork, patchwork creatures, and utilize them in some way, or perhaps give a little taste to the people who aren't Necrolords as to what they may be missing. Because I've unquestionably, no doubt, many of you have made alts for the other Covenants, but not a lot of people will do that. Not a lot of people are going to play 4 characters to see the story. Some will, some won't, but this was a good way of testing it and to show the real sort of flavor and interest that comes with being a Necrolord for anybody who was like, what's my best Covenant for my character? I'm going to choose that, and that's me done. That's the story I go with there. So I think this could have been a really good opportunity to kind of entice people or to show the strengths and the features there. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with Revendreth, to see whether they have what the Revendreth style of assault is. Because I will say the Maldraxxi assault is more front-loaded, which you'd expect from them. But so was Bastion's, which is the first one we did. Bastion's was very much the same. It was more yellow than green. So I think there's much more opportunity here to utilize the strengths and flavors of the Covenants in a more their style. It was very close. Like I said, there was one quest that involves, you can see here, all the characters are here. We've got Flytrap showing up, and Sindane and Vash are here, and this is the assault that's leading. So this is after I've completed the zone. You can see the slimes are here. Like, it's so close. It's thematically there. Like, the cosmetic style is there. But the actual gameplay, not quite. Not quite there. I would have loved to have seen the real military might of Maldraxxus on display here, rather than just the models that are associated with it, Maldraxxus walking across a bridge, which is what we got. We can see Emily, the Slaughter Daughter, is doing work here and doing little bits. It's really close to being awesome. I think that's what I always feel about this content. It's the same I felt about Najata. It's really close to being really cool. This phasing could do with being fixing when you actually cross the bridge, and everyone's going to reappear in a minute. The Altar of Domination, I would expect. Yes, there they go. I would really, really love to see a bit more. I mean, think about the things you do in Maldraxxus, controlling the giant patchwork monsters. You know, you get to sit on their shoulders and do all that kind of thing. Remind people of what's great about the Necrolords, because there is some cool stuff there. There really is. Maybe it'll come later on. Again, that is kind of the message of 9.1. There's more to come, I guess is my message. There is more to come. But we're not quite there yet. All right, guys, that's my update. I'll come back to you when I know more or get to show you more. Hopefully the weekly server update on Tuesday, which is obviously the PTR follows US timings, so their server reset is on a Tuesday, will bring whatever the next part of actual Korthia is, because as a reminder, this does not take place in Korthia. It takes place in the original Maw, not over in Korthia, which is down here, and has a lot to do yet. Has a lot of work in it. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great evening. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.